Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today for our July session of our GoTo Partner Office. So to quickly introduce you to our speakers today. So you have myself, Jessica Stark, responsible for partner marketing. We're also joined by Dobek and Natasha. So Dobek leads our UC solution group. Hi, Dobek, welcome.
Good morning and good afternoon for the New Zealanders. I think it might be afternoon time for them. So good morning to you and a happy new financial year for everyone.
Great, thanks, Davik. We're also joined by Natasha Rock, so definitely a special guest appearance today and joining us from India a little bit early her time. So thank you, Natasha, for getting up early for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jess. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Perfect. All right, so let's begin. So today's topics, we've got some great overviews for today. So the first things we want to review is the Q3 incentives that we have going. Definitely take advantage of these. We'll view that in detail. And then Dobik will lead us through the key GoTo Connect updates. Natasha will take us through some of the GoTo Resolve changes and things going on from that product group, and then we'll have time for questions. So with that, I will hand over to Dobik to take us through some of the GoTo Connect updates. Over to you, Dobik.
Great, and hello again to everybody. And if you're stuck and looking for a plus one, I'm happy to go to Mexico. Just saying. Before we move on to the product, I just wanted to do a bit of a self-promotion. So we do have this YouTube channel that we're trying to promote to all our partners and potentially even make this available to your customers, so that if there is a requirement that your customers are asking for, and you see that a video would help explain that, reach out to myself, and I would be able to perform some kind of a video and post it up onto YouTube, so that other people can benefit from that as well. So when you go to YouTube, search for GoTo APAC and like and subscribe. So now we can move on to what went live. There's been actually quite a lot going on in the marketplace. So this section is aimed at providing you with a bit of an update of what released over the last month and a half or so in terms of the GoTo Connect portfolio. And there's a lot that's been going on, and you can see that ranging across from the contact center, phone meeting and messaging, webinar, as well as I'll talk about the admin console, specifically admin for the partner. So let's get right into it. Into the first one. If we move to the next slide, you'll find that that we have on the contact center side, we have a new functionality within the chat aspect of it. So now supervisors can actually have access to a live chat that's been handled by one of the agents. So this is analogous to maybe a supervisor doing silent monitor of a telephone call. In this scenario, essentially what you do is go into the web chat, find maybe an agent or a conversation that you're interested in, right click on the three dots, and then you can actually watch what's happening from a chat perspective. So this is really useful for supervisors to actually find out how chats are going on real time. There is also an equivalent view from a historical perspective as well, meaning that if you ever wanted to go back into a report and find out the chat history, you can delve into that as well. But the great thing about that is if you also then wanted to reassign a chat. So let's take the scenario that you've got a customer that's engaged in chat and it's been there for a long time. You as a supervisor see that information, you've got the longest chat information being presented to you, then you jump into that particular chat, you can see that it's been quiet on the agent side for a little while. You can unassign it from that agent and reassign it over to yourself or to another agent to continue that chat to service that customer. So really cool feature. On to the next slide. If we the second aspect of the contact center that we've introduced is around being able to add contact information, notes, and tags. So a lot of people have been asking us around being able to actually add this information to a call. So the first one is when you receive a call, you have an option to just going back to the previous screen, Jessica, thank you. You'll have an option to associate a contact with a telephone call. So in this scenario, I can see that I've got a call coming in on a particular number, and it's recognized that I've got two matching contacts that are associated with that call. So I can associate now one of those contacts to the call. Alternatively, if it's a brand new contact, I can create the new contact into place. Then on the second screen, what you'll find is that you have visibility of notes. So if you move to that one, yeah, then you can actually see some notes associated with that call, and you can add as much notes information as you like, and you can add additional tags. So a tag would be, you know, this is an inquiry about a particular product, or maybe it's a complaint, or maybe it's, you know, a specific, you know, disposition that you'd like to associate with that particular call. So you have that capability. And the great thing about that is, as we move to the next screen, that when the call comes in the future, that you'll also have that whole history with that particular user. So you can see the previous notes that you've allocated, the previous tags that have been allocated to that individual. And so you have a little bit of a view into that contact when you've associated that with a call. That is also available from a chat perspective as well. So you can have those tags and contacts associated with chat. Speaking of chat, we have also added a functionality, which is co-browsing. So if you haven't checked that out, please do so. But in this scenario, we're actually utilizing Rescue Live Guide to integrate into a chat session. So on this screen, what you can see is that an agent is taking a chat with a person somewhere on the web, and then they are going to the right click of the co-browse button, and they are given some text which basically says, join me at a particular location. You can actually modify that, and you can specify your own field, but if you don't, the default is, please join me at the following location for a co-browsing session, and that it includes a link to that session. So if we go to the next screen, you will find what the end user experience is like. So the end customer will then see that they have a link to that session. They can click on that, and it takes them away to a window within the browser that the agent then subsequently joins. That view for both the agent and the end user is shown over here. So from an agent perspective, the agent gets some additional capabilities, such as being able to use a pointer or highlight certain areas within the page. And the agent will also view the mouse movements of the customer. Similarly, the end user will see the agent's mouse as well, and it will be named and identified as the agent mouse. So you can really follow the co-browsing session really well. At the end of the session, you will have an ability as an end user to terminate you know, the session, and then see a history of all the different browser pages that you've been to. So you can go back to those and sort of like say, oh yes, we have we've, you know, gone to maybe filling in this form, or you know, getting some information on that particular page. So you'll have a full history of all the different pages that you've been to. A really powerful solution and a great asset to the multi-channel capability in the system. Now moving on to the phone messaging and meeting side of things. One of the things that we're really focused on is around being able to provide additional information around you know, the call quality. So so what we're going to do, and this has started off actually as of earlier this month, is we're going to trigger a voice survey at the end of certain calls. So if you have made at least 4 calls in the last 30 days since the last survey, then we will prompt you with a survey questionnaire to rate the quality of the call. And it's a rating between 1 and 7, 7 being excellent, 1 being terrible. and then you can associate the experience that you have had. So anything that's less than 4 or less than 4 will give you additional information, such as, what type of issues did I experience? Was it the other side couldn't hear me? Was it a drop call? The audio was cutting in and out? Was there any static on the line? Was there echo on the line? So we can gather that information and do some more analysis on that system. So that's really going to help us with that. Now, we're not trying to bombard the other end users with a lot of surveys, so this is going to be limited to making sure that you don't do more than 2 surveys, or have 30 days at least lapse between one survey to the next, making sure that you have had a number of calls in between, make sure that the calls have been longer than 90 seconds and the like. So we're really getting some good usage out of this this feature, and we're going to be utilizing that to actually improve the call quality on the GoTo Connect platform. Moving on to the next screen, another area that we wanted to improve in terms of the provisioning is around the devices or the handsets that are being deployed to an end customer. In this scenario, what we had to do in the past, if we were shipping handsets to a site, we needed to allocate some information to that. So first name, last name, an extension number. At the time of placing the order, that's probably not an ideal situation. So a lot of customers have been basically putting in bogus information or temporary information and needing to go into that and changing that later on. So what we're doing now is we're allowing for that information to be populated, but you don't have to if you don't need to. And so now we can actually go in and deploy handsets which are standalone handsets, meaning they don't have a user allocated to it. And then later on, you can basically go up to a handset, have a look what desk it is, allocate the user to that, and that gets automatically associated with that user. So it makes it nice and simple to activate and not confuse things by creating dummy names in the first instance. Moving on to the next phone meeting and messaging item is an ability to enhance our find me, follow me functionality. So what we've added to that is that when you set a find me, follow me setting, you can now set a call announce and call screening options to your calls. So previously you had an ability to basically, if you're going to ring an extension, do a direct connection to me, or do a confirm pickup so that tell me the caller ID when I answer. Now what we do is we can also provide the option of announce a call, and that basically informs the user about which the extension the call was received on. And then you also have the ability to either accept or reject the call. The screen call functionality gives the user the ability to ask callers their name, and therefore that information gets played to you. And then you once again have the ability to either accept or reject the call. This could be useful in a scenario where you actually have ring simultaneously, so you have more than one extension ringing simultaneously, and one of those users could be a colleague of mine, and a call comes in and it also rings my colleagues. Now they actually say, oh, this person actually called Dobex, I'm not going to answer it. So you've got that ability to have an announced call information ahead of it and then just leave it for Dobex to answer, go to Dobex voicemail. So there's a quick scenario of that. Moving on to the webinar functionality. We are putting quite a bit of focus around the webinar aspect of it, and so we've upped the number of co-organizers and panelists in the events that you can create. So previously it used to be 24, now it's 49 co-organizers. There used to be 25 panelists, and now it's 50. So now it's 50 panelists per virtual event session. So remember, virtual sessions are only a part of potentially multiple sessions that you have as part of an event. So it's 50 per session. We have some caps around a limit of 200 panelists in total and 100 co-organizers in total. So that's some of the restrictions around the system, but it does give you an ability to really have a lot of panelists in your virtual events. The other thing that we did is we've brought on the virtual events to have similar functionality that you had in your standard and generic webinars, where you can actually bulk import into your virtual events simply by uploading a CSV file, and that will allow you to have different registration links for each individual. Simplifies things. Moving on to the last part that I wanted to talk about, and it's to do with the admin portal. So we have focus around our admin portal to make it available to our partners, such that you have some additional visibility through that one place where you're administering your users, as well as being able to access other GoTo assets. So there's this partner toolbox that has been added to the GoTo admin portal, and in that toolbox you can see that on the right hand side of the screen, and it has things like GoTo admin access to your customers. It allows you to update your information, what your accounts are, but also gives you access to Partner Exchange directly through it, gives you information to your marketing portal and your sales portal. So it becomes a single place to access all your details around your GoTo points of information. The next thing that we've also allocated, and I think it's represented on the next screen, is an ability to provide like a report of all your licenses. So previously, if you wanted to find out, how many licenses are being utilized by customer A, then you have to go into the customer tenant, view that, customer B, customer C, etc. Now what we're doing is we're basically giving you a report that gives you all your customers, and next to those you will see a visibility of all your licenses and all the products that are being consumed and used by that particular customer. So you can see 3 different customers over here and the different features that are available for that party. We're looking to make that available to other systems right across the UCC and the remote support group products, as well as GoTo Connect. But what's exciting after this is we're also looking to expand upon what we're doing with the admin portal for partners, and we're going to we're working on importing users from ConnectWise Manage as well as Datto Autodesk. So if you're utilizing one of those platforms, then that could be a good way to import some of the information around the users. And the other thing that we're looking to add to that is give you account alerts if certain devices are not available. So basically giving you alarms when things, when handsets or devices are not being active in a customer site. So it could be an indication of an issue, and then you get notified straight away from that, rather than going to a customer's tenant and then looking at the health. You'll be able to get a little bit of an early notification through that. So that's it from me. And after this, we'll move on to GoTo Resolve updates, and over to Natasha.
Thank you, Davek.
My pleasure.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, everyone again. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'll quickly walk you through some of the updates that we have on the RSG, that is our remote support group side of things, starting with GoTo Resolve. As you all are aware, we launched GoTo Resolve earlier this year in Feb as an all-in-one IT management and support solution built for SMBs, right? So what does GoTo Resolve do? It allows customers to monitor, to manage, and to support their employees and their devices, whether that's computers, whether that's mobile phones, whether that's a billboard, or whether that's a point-of-sale device, and being able to connect to them and being able to support them remotely, no matter the location, no matter the device, no matter the operating system that they are using. Okay, so these remote support capabilities, for example, are into supporting a user working from home, for example, or if they are on the go, traveling from one location to the other in a car, or if they're sitting in a cafe, or if they're sitting in a remote location on vacation, right? So wherever they are, whatever they are doing, our remote support solutions are built to meet the end user where they are, and provide them that IT support that they need on their laptops, their mobile phones, their desktops, whatever device they're using. Okay, we also have visual support as part of it. So as part of a mobile phone camera sharing session, it would allow end users to basically get their physical or hardware related issues diagnosed and resolved. So it could be that they have an issue at home with their printer or with their router or with their keyboard on their computer, which is a hardware related issue and cannot be solved through a remote support session. We have a visual sharing or camera sharing capability as part of GoToResolve, as well as we have separate a point solution called Live Lens, which solves for those issues as well. Okay, so what does this all mean to your customers? It means that their support teams can now provide fast, consistent, easy to use IT support for in-office and remote workers on and from all devices with flexible tools to turn requests into resolutions for a refreshingly simple IT support experience. Okay, and we've also pioneered zero trust security as part of GoToResolve, where as part of every session, an IT engineer needs to doubly verify his identity before he can perform any remote support functions. We all know that security is top of mind for our customers, so because over the last 2 years we've experienced a lot of breaches. A lot of SMBs especially have been targeted. In fact, a survey says over 56% of SMBs were targeted over the last 2 years because they were all using solutions which were free, which were not very secure, and they were not built for security, right? They were built for being able to easily set them up with a communication solution or with a remote support solution, and were not purely built with security infrastructures in place. So with that, we took all of that in mind and we built GoToResolve with enterprise banking grade security and built zero trust layer on top of that as well. So like I said, this is basically a feature to allow IT agents to verify their identities before they can perform any sensitive functions on an end user device. And this is especially important for SMBs today. Moving on to the next slide, I'll be quickly talking you through some of the roadmap tracks that we have as of now. We have a lot of features coming on GoToResolve. It's built to be an all-in-one IT platform for SMBs. So a lot of work is going on in the background to make it that perfect toolkit for an SMB to have, from remote support to remote monitoring and management and help desk. Right. So on the support side of things, we are building in features that would help IT engineers triage issues faster, being able to provide that support to end users faster, more efficiently, and also not only benefit the end users, but also to benefit the IT engineers themselves, where the support functionality, the features, the platform that they're using on GoToResolve could be a lot more feature rich and give them all those tools, all those features that they need on one console, rather than having them switch between pages or applications or different tools to solve that. Okay, so on the support side, we're building in features like client-less remote support, where there's no downloads required. We're building in remote view, so being able to remotely view the end user screen, and then without even having to take control of that machine. Unattended remote access, where the end user need not even be present at the machine. They need not have to interrupt their work to give an IT engineer control of their machine. So the IT engineer can have unattended access to that machine when the user is not even present at an off time or during the break time of the end user. Okay, agent screen share. So for the agent being able to share their screens with the end user in case the agent wants to show some key, if they're troubleshooting an application, for example, or if they want to show an end user how to perform a certain task in the future to resolve an issue proactively, they can share their own screens with the end user. File transfer, to be able to transfer one file from one device to the other. Session transfer, so that if there are multiple levels of support being provided, where we have L1, L2, L3 support, as is typical in various organizations, one support session can be transferred from an L1 engineer to an L2 and so forth, as well as multi-agent collaboration. Now, suppose a session requires multiple hands to solve that particular issue, where it could be that it is a complicated issue which requires an L1 and an L2 engineer to be on the same call. Or if you were a support team requires an external agent to join in from a different company. It could be from a hardware related company, like if they are supporting a Dell laptop and they need a Dell engineer to be a part of that session, they can have multiple agents collaborating on one session to solve that issue. And this all only helps to solve issues faster and reduce that average handling time for an end user, and therefore improve the support team's productivity as well. Session recording, so being able to record these sessions and for them to be saved and stored on the cloud for IT teams to be able to pull those up and refer to them for auditing and for other to improve support practices overall, as well as reboot and reconnect. So being able to remotely execute a reboot and reconnect on a machine without having to even take control of that machine. So that's on the support side of things. On the remote monitoring and management side of things, we are building up to be a true RMM solution. So this would be functionality which allows IT teams to be able to supervise and control their entire IT ecosystem, such as we're building in remote execution. So performing IT jobs in the background without having to take control of a machine or without having to interrupt the end user's work. So remote execution of, say, being able to transfer a file or to restart a machine or to install an MSI file on a machine or to run a script. All of these are remote execution tasks that can be performed in the background in bulk on a group of machines or singularly on single machines, depending on the need for that device. Okay. Device grouping. So IT administrators can group devices depending on department, depending on type of issues, depending on L1, L2, L3 support. They can group different devices into different departmental groups or hierarchies, and then they can perform remote execution jobs and tasks on these groups individually. Background access, which is the device quick view. So being able to see what is the diagnostic information of a device, as in what is the CPU usage or the memory bandwidth or the network bandwidth or the what's going on that machine before even they have an issue is alerted to them, right? So they can constantly monitor these devices in the background proactively so that they can make sure there are no issues that come up in the future. Okay, so to proactively monitor and manage these devices, as well as mass deploy. So one of the most frequently asked for features on an RMM solution is one-to-many, being able to deploy across thousands of devices, whether it be an application, an MSI file, or a PKG file, being able to deploy these across endpoints, right? So we're talking about thousands of endpoints used by companies today. With one click or a couple of clicks, being able to deploy these applications across that network. And that is very soon going to be available as part of GoTo Resolve as well. On the help desk side of things, as you all would be aware, GoTo Resolve was launched to be offer basic ticketing functionality as well. So we do offer integrated ticketing capabilities with Slack and Microsoft Teams, as well as through direct email IDs. A ticket can be raised, or if it's through a collaboration tool, then we have integrated already with Slack and Teams, and we have additional integrations and things coming up as well. So the idea behind the help desk capabilities is for it to be conversational, and that's hence the integration with Teams and Slack, where an end user need not shift from their collab tool or their communication tool to raise a ticket, right? So if they are chatting with their IT engineers traditionally through Slack or Teams, they can continue to chat on that same platform, and that would automatically raise a ticket for the IT engineer on the GoTo Resolve ticketing platform. Okay, email ticket submission. So if they do not use Slack or Teams today, they can set up the ticketing solution with a generic email ID, like for example, support@goto.com, would, if an employee were to send an email to that ID, a ticket could automatically get raised for the IT engineers on their backend. Okay, as well as incident management and integrated remote support. So we're also integrating, excuse me, we're integrating the remote support feature into the ticketing solution. So an IT engineer can use, perform a remote support session from within a ticket to triage that issue and resolve it, versus, switching to the remote support console. Okay, so looking at the roadmap really quickly. As you can see, we've got, the Q1, Q2, Q3 roadmap features available on this slide. Q1, Q2 features have already been built and they've been deployed onto GoTo Resolve. We will focus on the Q3 features right now. Looking at the advanced support tools, these are basically features that will enhance the remote support experience, like remote sound, or the drawing tools during a remote session for an IT engineer to be able to annotate on the end user screen while in a remote session. Okay, on the RMM, or the remote monitoring and management side of things, we have alerts coming. Alerts are basically for the IT staff to receive critical system alerts in real time and address those potential issues before they can even occur, right? So taking the IT support from reactive to proactive. What they can do is monitor computer health, or software health or hardware health, and any changes can be alerted to them for them to be able to resolve these concerns before they can become bigger problems. So that's part of the RMM side. We have patch management coming. For this would allow IT teams to be able to identify, approve, and deploy patches to one or more devices to be able to keep their software up to date and protected against threats. Right, so it allows them to schedule these patches and perform multiple updates simultaneously without interruption to the end user as well. Antivirus and antivirus management. We are going to be having antivirus packaged into the GoTo Resolve solution, as well as if a customer were to already have antivirus already, we provide antivirus management for them to be able to manage that antivirus application just as they would any other application on the network, so that they can monitor it and manage it and deploy patches and set up alerts and the likes. Okay, and then quickly looking at from the ticketing side of things, we have the end user console coming up, which is basically allowing end users to connect to GoTo Resolve as well as create and track their tickets. So right now what we have is an IT engineer console, but we're coming up with an end user console as well. So an end user can manage their tickets and monitor their tickets and look at the status of what's happening on them. On the RMM integration side of things, we're integrating ticketing and the RMM features of GoTo Resolve, so it would allow agents to easily use the RMM tools to solve issues reported through the tickets, and to automatically create and close tickets when these RMM features are used. Okay, and then lastly, on the core platform side of things, we have public APIs and integrations coming up, which is we are focusing currently with the most frequently sought after integrations, that is ServiceNow, Zendesk, Freshworks. These would be the first integrations to come out, and then we'd also have public-facing APIs in case customers want to get those integrations done themselves. Out of the box, we will have ServiceNow and Freshworks and Zendesk integrations coming. Okay. Lastly, I'd like to quickly touch upon our recent, you might have read it in the news already, we've recently acquired a Finnish company called Mirador. They are a mobile device management company, and they have a shared passion to lead SMBs through the future of work and movement, especially given the current hybrid work space that we live in. What they basically encompass is no devices left behind. So what it allows for is streamlined IT support through extended device management capabilities from a single vendor and application. So we are integrating Mirador into GoTo Resolve, so we will have enhanced mobile device management capabilities into the platform. Next would be security for company issued bring your own device capabilities. So what this basically means is we understand that a lot of companies are not only do not only have the luxury of supporting their in-house devices or their company network devices. They also have devices that are end users are bringing to the table, which is their own personal devices, their own personal mobile phones or laptops, computers, or their tabs or iPads. And being able to support these devices as well is something that is the need of the hour. So with Mirador, they would be able to have new device lockdown and control capabilities to build on what is already there as part of GoTo Resolve's mobile support capabilities. Okay, and it will also have zero trust security and encryption, which will be deployed as part of that while they're supporting mobiles as well. Okay, and lastly, all operations managed for mobile phones or computers or servers, all of this will be managed in a unified tool, which would be GoTo Resolve, and would give the administrators on the admin side of things a unified console to monitor and to manage and proactively resolve issues before they can become bigger problems across devices with this acquisition. Okay, so that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope that was interesting and I hope that was understandable. Please let me know if you have any questions. Please post them in the chat and we'll take them up. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Natasha and Davik, for those updates and overviews. So please go ahead if you have any questions that you'd like to ask our experts. You can pop them through the chat box and we can go ahead and address any of those now. Perfect. We have a little bit of a quiet bunch, so we can go ahead and wrap up early. Any final thoughts you want to share with the audience today, Davik and Natasha?
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on at the moment. So with the acquisition that's taking place, there seems to be quite a bit that we're acquiring in terms of capabilities. But as you can also see, that there's quite a lot of capabilities that are coming to the front through natural development. So we have put a lot of focus from a GoTo Connect perspective onto the areas of partner enablement from an admin perspective. We're putting a lot of focus around the contact center because it's a point of differentiation for us in a big way. And then we're also putting a lot of effort into making sure that GoToWebinar has the necessary functionality to support the virtual events in particular and be meaningful towards the customers. So that's the wrap for the GoTo Connect side of things.
Yeah, on my end, I'd just like to say that stay excited. There's so much coming to GoTo Resolve, as well as our other point solutions, Rescue Central, which I will cover in following sessions. Today we focused on GoTo Resolve, given that there's so much of excitement and so much of buzz happening around that. Our vision for GoTo Resolve is to be that #1 platform versus being just one solution. We want to be that one vendor for a customer to be able to solve all IT issues through that one platform, right? And we're building up to that. So very soon we will be that platform, and that will be a unique identifier for us because there are not many companies today that can say that they can provide all of the solutions, all of the capabilities that we have on GoTo Resolve, right? So the zero trust architecture, the help desk capabilities, remote support, remote monitoring and management, all of these are point solutions. They are separate solutions provided by different competitors today, but not a lot of companies provide them all in one place on one platform, and that would be GoTo's unique selling point. And at a very cost-effective, price. So stay excited. I look forward to sharing more updates as the months go. Thank you for listening in.
Great, and sorry, Davik, we actually had a question come through, so I will. Cool. Yeah. So just want to make sure we answer this. So the question is there anything on the roadmap to have a busy light or presence indicator light integration with the likes of Plenum or Embavra? I might have mispronounced those two company names.
That's all right. So I don't know if you can see that, but I do have a sample over here that that basically shows you that this is one of those busy lights. So I've engaged with one of the companies, Planem, and they've given me 2 samples of busy lights. Now, I've been a little bit busy myself, so I haven't had a chance to test things out. But the plan is to see what we can do in terms of utilizing the APIs to do that. So so we don't have anything official. I did reach out to them. They seem to be very forthcoming. They send me a whole bunch of SDK links that that I've got access to now, and they've given me a couple of samples. So so look, from an API perspective, it sounds like something we could do. We just need to verify that it is feasible in a bit more detail. So we'll be coming back to you with some of that information. Now, I also hope that you like the format that we've put together. So we're actually changing it a little bit from what we did previously. So so we're basically going to have a format where we have some partner-related information, then an update from GoTo Connect, an update from RSG, and then maybe a certain feature focus. So if we need to do more of a demo on a particular area, that's what we'll do. What we would appreciate is if you have some specific things that you'd like us to see. And that question was brilliant. That may be something that that we bring up as one of the activities, as one of those feature items, and then we'll be able to showcase that to you. So so if you come up with any ideas that you may have, we'll evaluate them. We'll either do a recording and post it, or maybe incorporate that into the next event.
Yeah, of course. And if you have any of that feedback, you can go ahead and pop it in the chat box, or also please include that in the exit survey as well. We want to make sure that these sessions are valuable and give you the information you need. So with that, we will close out today's session. So thank you everyone for your time and for joining. It's great to connect with everyone. We hope you're excited about the things that we have coming down the line from a Connect and Resolve, and also just a partner incentive perspective. And make sure to join us for the next